Welcome back to another episode of the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast. And today is a special one as we sit down with two absolute legends, John and Cindy Ingram. Two individuals who didn't just shape the world of Isshinryu karate, but impacted generations through competition, mentorship, and lifelong dedication. We dive into their incredible 50-plus year journey in martial arts, how they built a legacy from the ground up, their dominance in the competition from national titles to kickboxing championships, the evolution of karate from old school grind to today's modern era, and how they helped put Isshinryu on the map at the highest levels. This episode is packed with wisdom, history, and real life lessons that go far beyond the dojo, and we couldn't do it without our proud supporters, Delaware Bushido Academy, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Smyrna, White Belt Surfer, and Tory Wellness Center. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast. And today is a special episode for me because I'm sitting down with two amazing human beings that really helped shape and define my karate experience from a competition sense, and I'm going to dive a little bit more into that. So welcome to the show, John and Cindy Ingram. Guys, thank you so much for joining. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great, and thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you very much.
Absolutely. And, I wasn't sure when I was going to say this in today's show, but I'm just going to say it right now, and hopefully it's a good way to kind of start the this conversation. But I owe you guys so much as far as my competition experience goes. You guys really opened my eyes back in 2010, and not to get too emotional, but it's not even the competition itself. It wasn't even going to Italy. It was the fact that my mom, so huge shout out to my parents, but my mom, I remember she was emailing, I think it might have been you, Coach Cindy, and you guys made arrangements and you guys allowed me to stay in your home on numerous occasions. And I know I'm huge on gratitude, but I just wanted to say it here, like that's something that I never forgot. And you guys didn't have to do that. And years later, it's formed a long-lasting friendship. Yep. I've had quite a few of your students on this podcast, and I said to myself, man, I can't continue to have all these amazing Ingram students without having you guys. So here we are.
Shoot, it was our honor. We had some great times. We have some great memories with you. It was a lot of fun. We had some really, really good times with you, and you're an awesome competitor and an awesome friend, and thank you.
Yeah, you're a great young man. So spending time with you was just a pleasure, a joy. So, and you're still a great young man. We can't believe how you've grown up and how great you are at doing these podcasts.
And your parents are fantastic people.
Thank you so much. And you guys are wonderful parents as well. I know you guys have a family. I had your daughter Sherry on, and she's doing great things with the martial arts. Even Sensei Jen as well. So it's, when I think of Isshinryu karate or just, a strong knit karate, community, the Ingrams always come up, and you guys have a solid reputation. So, so I could go on and on about that, but today's about you guys, and I would love to know more about your early start in martial arts and maybe things that the viewers don't know. So let's start off with that. So I don't care who starts off first.
He started. What?
I was just saying. I remember you guys telling me that you guys have a pretty cool, fascinating story of how you guys met. And I know it was through the martial arts. So let's start off with that. So,
well, let me start with kind of where we came from. Because a lot of even my own, because we've been doing this I've been doing it for 52 years. So we've got generations out there, and some of them think that we started with Sensei Harold Mitchum. Yeah. But we did not start with him. Actually, my sensei moved down in the late 60s from Detroit. He was a student of Willie Adams.
Yep.
He moved down. He started Dojo here, and that's when I started with him in like early '74. I started with him, and got my real foundation through him. So we were really started with Willie Adams, AOKA, Steve Armstrong lineage.
Yeah,
and that was our start. And Sensei Cindy can kind of take over from there because you want how we met and all that.
Well, Tarpon Springs is a tiny, tiny town in Florida, and karate wasn't like it is today. There's a dojo on every street corner, just like a bank. But back then, there was a dojo in Tarpon. There was one in St. Pete, which was almost, it would have been a 2-hour drive. But there wasn't a lot of karate around at all. And I used to go to Greek school in Tarpon Springs, and I'd walk home past the first dojo, and it was this teeny, my kitchen's bigger than that dojo was. And I would just look in the door, and I would, be thinking, oh, it'd be cool to take karate. And I was at that time, I was in middle school. And I went home and said something about karate to my dad. He goes, "You're not taking karate. That's what weirdos do." And so I was like, oh.
And I was a weirdo in there.
I'm like thinking, I am a weirdo. It might be the thing for me. But so nothing ever happened. But all along, I always go back, because then we met in 1976, actually, is when we started dating. I was a junior in high school, and he was taking karate at that dojo. And when I walked by that dojo as a kid, who would have thought that my future husband was in there training? I didn't know him yet. But anyway, so that, then as soon as we got married, we weren't allowed to, it was too far. Our sensei had moved, his sensei had moved. I had never met him, but then our parents wouldn't let us go. We got married, and we said, "Now we're married now, we're grown-ups, we can go to that dojo if we want." And so we started going to the Newport Richie dojo from Tarpon Springs, and that's how it all bloomed. So.
Yeah, that dojo moved. I started in Tarpon Springs, and what happened was my sensei moved and opened a dojo probably 30, 40 miles north of that in Port Richey, Florida. And a man named Steve May took that dojo over. So he was my sensei for a long time. He was a great guy. He took me to tournaments with him. He was obviously a black belt. And when I was a beginner, I went to some tournaments with him. He was a great guy. And then that dojo eventually closed down, and I had to drive all the way to Port Richey to train. And that became tough when we were dating. It was a long drive, so I had probably maybe 8 months that I did not go to class, but I continued my training. So I did my kata a few times a week, and push-ups and sit-ups, and ran. So I never had any lag time training. But then when she started, there was that dojo in Port Richey actually closed down again and moved to a recreation center that was real close to it was also in Port Richey. And that's when we started at that Port Richey rec center.
Yeah. That's when
she started.
Yeah.
That's when she started with us.
But for that 8 months, when we were dating, I went and saw these karate trophies, and I was like, "Well, you take karate?" And I used to, but I can't. I don't have a car that'll make it that far these days, and so I can't go. And then I watched him work out. I was like, I didn't know what a kata was. I mean, you think karate, you're watching Bruce Lee movies, even though that's kung fu and all that. But yeah. I was watching him in the garage doing kata and dropping into splits. And I thought, wow, my dad's right. These people are weirdos. Because I thought kata was like, what is that? What are you doing? So.
It's interesting. So it's pretty cool how you both met in the, capacity that you did. And you guys were introduced to something that was still fairly new. And, in regards to karate, a lot of folks that I talked to that started during that time period, the first generation students, or the OGs, as we call it, they all have very similar stories of how training back then was a lot harder. But I like to substitute that with maybe instead of harder, because I feel like, even today, standards is still pretty high if that's what you're elevating for. It was just different back then. So
yeah, right. It was. Absolutely.
So I'm curious for you guys, as you guys, started to train, more consistently. And we can kind of go into this a little bit later, but, then, compared to like now, what was different back in those days as far as training? Because I know I started in 96, so there wasn't really no distractions yet. Like there was no social media. But, so I'm sure like your focus was a lot more driven towards training. So if you don't mind, almost walk us through like what was a daily training session like?
Okay, so you want me to? Okay, so that's good. Something I like to talk about. So when we first started training, we would do our basic every class. Well, they were 2.5-hour classes. First of all, people nowadays the parents would flip out if they had to leave their kids for 2.5 hours. But 2.5-hour classes. Every class we did 50 straight push-ups. You had to be able to do 50 push-ups, so you got to that point really quick. So push-ups, sit-ups, all of our basics, upper body, lower body, 20 with each. And so, I mean, we all know that do that. That's a hard workout with no break.
Yeah.
And then we would do a little break after our basics, come back. It's 3 days a week. One day would be Ippon Kumite. The next day would be Kata. Then the third day would be just freestyle, just Kumite. But what's interesting, what I'd like people to know is back in those days, you did pretty much what your style did as far as your techniques for Kumite. And I started doing tournaments very early on. So we would go to tournaments, and my classmate, Oscar Wheeler, and I would go to tournaments together with Cindy. And seeing other styles, because it was not just Okinawan karate, it was all style, Taekwondo, Kung Fu, everyone. And that's where we really picked a lot up. Like one time I remember watching, seeing this guy doing jump spinning crescent kicks. That is not in the Isshinryu curriculum. No. So it's like, whoa, that was pretty cool. So we go back and practice jump spinning crescent kicks and spinning hook kicks and all the sweeps. And so we got a lot from competition back in those days that we carried over to our Kumite, because Kumite back in those days was very, very solid.
Yeah.
I mean, your feet were planted on the ground. You hit hard. There was no gloves. And, the Kumite was different. I mean, felt like after every class I would have busted ribs because getting those knuckles in the ribs, the reverse punches, and and then when equipment came out, that helped a lot as far as injuries. But you get a little slip of knuckles to the head, that hurts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So does that explain it? Did I answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd like to add it in, because when you asked that question, it actually it piqued something in my brain. But talking about no social media, one thing I think happened in the old days more than it is now is, and I'm not saying that it's all bad now or anything like that, but your sensei was your leader.
Right.
You didn't go on social media and look at other people's senseis and say, wow, that guy's better than my sensei. And you loved your sensei. Yeah. And it was cool. You were a family. You still are, but it's different. We've had to learn how to deal with students that go dojo hopping or whatever. And then you have to learn. Everything's changed and they're exposed to more, and our eyes are open, but it was very different. Your sensei had to have all the answers because he's the one or she's the one, and it wasn't very many she's either, but the ones that had to answer your questions. You didn't really have anyone else to fall back on.
Right, you couldn't Google it.
Right, but I want to tell you this because this is it's silly, but it's super important. So back when we were young, you didn't buy bottled water. There was no bottled water. Perrier was the only thing that was bottled. And when you're working out, you don't want Perrier, right? And so in his dojo in Tarpon Springs, there was an old junky refrigerator that had a gallon jug of water in it. And it was cold. So sensei would say water by rank. Black belt would get the first swig, the next black belt got, and it went all the way down by the time you were a white belt. You know what that bottom percentage is. You're drinking saliva.
But it was cold.
But it's so cold, and they worked out so hard, and there wasn't air conditioning in the buildings a lot. And so we
had no air.
Yeah, you sweated your butt off in Florida. And I said, if I had joined at that time, I would have quit.
Yeah, so you bring up a really good point, though, Sensei Cindy, how like there weren't many she's back then. So I wonder, and my instructor, Master Reese Rigby, and his wife, Judy Rigby, very similar stories.
Yes.
We started training together pretty early on. And I love, through this podcast, one of the things that I've really enjoyed is, every guest I learn something from, of course, but it's allowed me to kind of do a little bit more research on each guest and kind of the time frame. So when you talk about, there weren't many she's back then, was that very different for you back then to kind of, was it hard to, I guess, fit in? And obviously you made your adjustments early on, but I would love to know from your perspective as a female, pioneer, if you will, what paths did you have to go down, or like was it rough for you, like initially in the beginning to be accepted and a male dominant type sport?
Okay. So in the dojo, it wasn't hard. Everybody was so supportive. There was no problem. They didn't treat me different. However, I will say this, a lot of women won't say this. When it came sparring time, the men had to go light because I was a girl. And especially in those days, and I was the only girl in the dojo. So when it was time, they're going lighter. And it took me a while, even at that point, to get used to the contact, because as a girl, I wasn't physical that way. I played tennis. I was in the band. I was a band nerd. I wasn't someone who physically got punched in the face even though they were using control, it took me a while to not cry on my way home. He tried to hurt me. John said, if he tried to hurt you, you wouldn't be talking right now.
Yeah.
And I'd say, okay, so he made me, and I use this for my students when they're like, oh, and I say, well, are you alive? Are you bleeding? Are you maimed? Is there anything wrong with you? No. I said, well, then you didn't get hit hard, dude. Yeah. And that's what I tell the kids. But I use that because that's basically what he said to me. You're okay. You're just not used to all this coming at you. It's overwhelming. But as far as, as far as the people, they were great. Where I had my first hard times was running my own dojo. By time I started, I was a black belt, and then I started teaching classes, and a new man would come in, and the respect get you they're looking for an Asian man to come out and start teaching them some real karate. And there's this white woman who doesn't even look the part at all. What is she going to teach me? So there were attitude problems at that point that I had to learn how to handle. But overall, it really wasn't that bad. So
yeah, that's crazy. That's interesting how you say that. It's because teaching is fun, and obviously there's challenges to teaching and being able to run a business and a school. But on top of that, you're having to deal with people that kind of doubt you. So
right,
that's perseverance right there, and the fact that obviously you never quit, because we wouldn't be having this amazing conversation.
Right.
I think it's a huge compliment and sentiment to not only both of you, but Coach Cindy as well, for just not giving up on something that you loved. Something else that you both mentioned early on is when you were walking past the school and you saw your future husband. Do you remember that exact moment when you said can you go back and actually almost visually see him, or is it just more of a memory kind of?
It was just a memory. I was a kid. I was too young to even really be interested in boys, but it was just a wow. What are they doing? That looks really cool as a group. And I was on my way home from school with other kids, so we kept it moving, so it wasn't long. But when I was playing tennis in high school, this one boy that we both knew, but I didn't know him yet. But we both knew. He
doesn't remember seeing me in the dojo.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that I saw him.
Yep.
I wished if I knew now.
Sure, I was in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wished I had known to look. But one of his friends came to the tennis court, who had just come back from working out at that dojo, and he got on the tennis court and he said, I'm going to teach you guys some karate. I just came back from class, so we're all, just done playing tennis, and us girls are all standing there. But the funniest thing was, he held his hands like this, and he was going head, body, groin, head, body, groin. And now I look back and go, wait a minute. That was an Isshinryu dojo. There was none of that. There was no phone here. So I'm like, that guy was, and he said, yeah, he was always a storyteller.
He never got beyond white belt.
I think white belt was his highest rank.
He liked the women.
But it was, But that's when I decided, you know what? When he was doing that, we were all doing it on the court. I said, that is so cool. And that's when I went back and asked my dad. My dad said, nope.
Actually, probably had she started then, she would have never come back.
I wouldn't.
Well, it was rough back then.
Yeah,
that was before the gloves, and she might have gotten her.
My first couple tournaments, there were no gloves.
That's right.
It was disqualified because I made someone bleed, and I cried because I didn't mean to make them bleed. But your knuckles are sharp, and we were the safety chop had just come in.
It was safety punch was first.
It was chopped, right?
No, safety punch was like a cylinder with it's flat on the end of just a cylinder. That's called safety punch. Then safety chop was the one that it was Your hand could be open with a
Okay,
safety
okay.
chop.
Well, I had a chop in the dojo, and then they wouldn't let you wear them at the tournament. It was the AOKA Grand Nationals in 77. And John says, I never sparred a girl before. And then that was a rude awakening because guess what?
He sparred you? Oh,
no, the girls didn't take it easy on me like the guys do in the dojo. You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden I was like, whoa, they're out for blood. You know, so it made me fight harder. With the guys, you know, they were very, of course, no 35-year-old guy wants to be knocking out a 25-year-old or a 22-year-old woman. That would be horrible for them, you know, especially in those days. Women we still were a little treated a little like women, you know. Nowadays we let everybody have it, but
yeah, I was just curious. You know, I asked that question if you could actually remember, because like, what a cool like story that would be. It's like, I remember actually seeing my husband.
I know.
Really
I wished I had. I have pictures of him from that dojo, but no, I didn't actually focus on any certain person. It was just a wow, look at that thing.
Nice. So when you decided to open up your first school, and so this question for both of you, was that something that you guys did together initially? Because I know you talked about, you know, being a business owner and having a dojo. So I wonder if that's just more of a you know, transcending concept you're talking about, or did you guys open early on together? Because I know you guys have schools now, but in the beginning, how did that conversation come up when you said, hey John, or hey Cindy, like I really want, like I think we can start a family business here. Like, when did that come about?
Okay, that's a good question. It's a good story. I was going to college. My dad was actually a rocket scientist. He was into computers, so he wanted me to get into computers, and and I was going to school for computer science, and that is not me. I hated it. I wanted to be outside. So during the summers, we did a lawn service. So we were mowing lawns, making tons of money, but busting butt. So we had a lawn service, and we were going to the rec center training at night. And my sensei decided it was time for him to retire. And that was probably, we actually kept our bios out, but
right. I think
probably like 78, 79, he wanted to retire. So Cindy and I and one of his other senior students named Oscar Wheeler, we took the rec center over. So we had maybe 20 students, and we then the Karate Kid came out.
Well, no,
right? Was that okay?
No,
That was
kids
around
were
84, right?
Okay.
Yeah, well,
okay.
Kids were starting to want to come in.
Then kids were wanting to come in, and so we started a kids class.
Classes.
And that rec center just grew and grew. We never ever intended on doing karate for a living. That was not something we picked. It just happened, and it picked us.
So
that rec center. Yeah, people, they're like, I think I'll grow up and be a karate instructor. Well, you go through some tough times. That time we had to bring in the dojo, then we worked all day. But anyway, so that rec center grew to like 100 students. And so we're like, wow, we want to open a storefront. So we opened a storefront. So it was a decision we both made. Still worked all day mowing lawns and then taught karate at night. So we have the rec center and the storefront. And then we left the rec center to one of our students, right? And
in 91.
And then we both just taught at the
opened another
Richie Dojo. And then we're like, wow. So I think that's about, then Karate Kid came out short. But that's when it really boomed.
Yeah.
That's when Karate Kid came out, wow, it boomed. But we opened in Pinellas County, which was the county south of where we were.
We did that before Karate Kid.
But that was in like 81.
81. Right.
We opened, so then we had two dojos. I taught in Palm Harbor, Florida. She taught in the Newport Richie Dojo. We did that for years and years. Right. So that was a mutual decision to open the dojos together. Eventually, it got to the point where we made enough money we didn't have to mow lawns anymore. We just taught karate.
So, and sometimes I'll see people say things on social media. You know, I've changed my social media so I don't see a lot anymore because I get too upset and there's just nothing.
I don't see anybody's story.
Right, I try to get away from it and barely, you know, and but they'll say, well, you have a commercial dojo, and like we're a lesser because we do it for a living. Well, what happened after the Karate Kid? It exploded. Every parent wanted their kid in karate.
Yeah.
We were working so hard trying to make those classes amazing and give people what they want. We had to put more classes to house all these students, different levels, and we were exhausted. We were mowing 100 yards a week, then having to do that. So we said something has to go because we can't continue working all these hours. So who would say, okay, we'll dump the dojo and we'll just mow lawns? No, you're going to dump the lawns and do what you love. And I always say to people, it's okay to have a club. I think clubs are wonderful where you might just have 20 students that you do 3 times a week. That's good. That's a different lifestyle. But we wanted to be able to give more of ourselves, and we needed more time. We needed day classes. We needed more, and so that's what happened. We had to make a decision, and we were at a crossroad. It was like
and training.
When
I started kickboxing in the early '80s, so we would mow lawns. I would get out of the car and go run like 5 miles before I even went in the house, and then go in and shower and go teach karate. And then after class, train more.
And not to mention raise 2 daughters.
And raise 2 daughters, yeah.
They were dojo brats. They were raised in the
dojo. Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Yeah. I think what's also really fascinating with this story you're sharing, and I don't think you guys give yourselves enough credit, at least from my perspective, is that you were doing it together.
Yeah.
And I think that's very special because, like, when you mentioned about mowing lawns and having to work very hard, which I learned that early on when I started hanging out with you guys and even staying at your house, because you guys were up like early and you have like animals that you guys feed. Yeah. It's like an always like an ongoing thing. You guys always have something which I admire deeply about you both. But when you talk about the lawns and being at the dojo and the expansion of the Karate Kid, like I'm hearing that, but what I'm also hearing, and what I hope the viewers hear, is that you were in it together. And I think that's powerful, because I don't even know if I could have done that, by myself. So I'm sure there was times when, not giving up, but hey, something's got to give. And it's nice that you can rely and lean on each other. So
and we're best friends. And to me, that's the secret. Next year will be our 50th. We've been married 50 years next year.
It'll be my 50th year in karate, 50th year married to him. And
I'm turning 70 this year.
Yep. And I'm 6'7".
but to me, like, that's a secret to a successful marriage too, is being best friends and doing things together.
Yeah.
You've gotta be best friends, and that's the most important thing in a successful marriage.
And just like everyone's best friends, you have fights every now and then. Doesn't mean it's always like perfect, but we manage to make
together good.
We make it through.
We work together good.
Yeah,
because my strong points are maybe her weak points, and her strong points are my weak points. So
and we lean on each other for
definitely.
Sure. Sometimes I'm not feeling it, and he pumps me up, and vice versa. It got somehow or another. It never happens at the same time.
But you're right. You're right. That probably is one of the reasons we were successful, because we are a team and we work together. We have common interests, and now so does. When we look at Sherry, I mean, she's doing the same thing.
Yeah, and our grandkids are all doing it, and my grandkid's wife, and so it's pretty cool. We never expected this. I didn't have any sons, and he's John L. Ingram the fourth, and I always said we need to try for a son. He goes, we're just going to have girls, it. And then we're going to end up with 8 kids, and they're going to all be girls. So we didn't go for the third one. But I want to tell Sherry this, because I thought of it the other day. I said, I was sad because the Ingram name is gone, because no sons were ever born with the Ingram name.
Yeah.
And his dad passed, and I, that picture behind me right there, that's John L. Ingram the first. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
And I'm this person, I love this family. And I said, well, a son won't take our name on, but the karate school will probably take our name on. So that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. So our legacy is our karate school.
Right.
Really.
Well, and our kids, but they'll actually carry the actual name, which is nice. And
we have 5 grandsons that are.
Yeah. Oh, grandsons.
3 of the 5 train and are black belts and that work for us and help us run the dojos. and our oldest grandson is taking our personal dojo over in January of next year. So
him and his wife,
the running of it, but we'll be doing the team and private lessons. And
yeah.
I remember your grandson when I was there back in 2010. I think it was Trey, but he was like very little, and now like years later, I saw him at the Hall of Fame. Now he's like I'm thinking, geez.
Yeah, he doesn't sit on my lap anymore.
Yeah.
So you said it was 2010, right? When you came back. Yeah, so
he's like maybe 2 or 3. That.
Yeah. And the others weren't even born yet.
Probably. No, they're not all born yet. Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, so you talk about when you were, mowing lawns and you were, teaching early on and your daughters were there. What was what was the relationship there, having to be stern and disciplined at the dojo, for your kids, of course. Like, was there any not issues, but was there any challenges getting them to
there was a few challenges.
Do you want to tell them?
At the rec center, I would have the girls with me. He would be in Palm Harbor teaching, and I would so I'm a terrible mother, apparently. But I would just let my kids. Sherry took karate, and Ashley was too little. She didn't, and I didn't have dragons yet. She wasn't interested anyway. And so I would let them play at the playground while I was teaching my classes. And there would be regulation basketball games going on out in the big gym. And one day the doors flew open, and this huge basketball player had my kid basically by the scruff of the neck. Whose kid is this? And I said, oh, it's one of the moms. I'll take care of her. And he goes, she's out there punching all the players in the groin right during the game.
Oh my gosh.
He was really little. And I was like, oh, what kind of a mother am I? But that only ever happened.
So they were dojo brats. Well, they were raised in the dojo.
Yeah, they ran amok a little bit. Nowadays, parents watch their kids better than we did back then. They survived. They're good people, but
and then the parents, the students' parents
watched a lot.
Like in tournaments, we were both competing.
Yeah.
So the
parents would hold my kids while I was fighting. But
that was a good question.
Yeah, but Sherry became involved in karate. Ashley, my youngest, got up to green belt, and she just said karate's not for me. And then she became a really good gymnast and horses, and it's because of her we have the horses, because she's an amazing rider. So she had different interests. She did take it, but there's a point where you don't need to shove it down their throat. You're not going to get it anywhere. So, but anyway, yeah.
Well, it's cool that, both your daughters had the opportunity, right, to be exposed to something that you both love. And then obviously, Sensei Sherry's doing well. She's a Hall of Fame board member now. And in inductee,
crazy.
Like you both. And I bet you never would have imagined, that would have ever transpired, I'm sure.
No. It's almost like a dream.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't write a movie like that. It was like, I feel very blessed. So for sure.
Yeah. So Coach John, you just mentioned competition. So that was something else I wanted to talk about, because I know, when people think of the Ingrams now, right, they think a lot of
old people.
Well, not even so much that, sir. It's just, at least from kind of in the inner circles of Isshinryu, and even, of course, the AAU and even NKF, the Ingram name is a household when it comes to competition. And it's at least for myself, it's not a surprise that you guys are continuing to do amazing at the, local, national, and international level. So I want to kind of dive into both your guys' career early on and how that's transcended to where you guys are at now. Was competition, and this is something that I love asking, folks that have been training for a long time and early on, but was competition something that I don't want to say force, but was that something that you wanted to initially both do, or was it something that like you saw other people doing? You're like, hey, you know what? He's doing it, she's doing it. Maybe things I have to try it too.
Yeah. I'll take it, and then she needs to talk about her career too. But it was something that we did Kumite obviously in the dojo, and I even mentioned earlier, my sensei Steve May took me to tournaments. So he would go, and back in then, I mean, I would compete in the beginning division, wait all day because black belts were last. I make my dad wait because I couldn't drive. I was a kid, and watch Steve May compete. So I love competition. I really like Kumite, but kata. Sensei Cindy did great in kata. We have some students that are great at kata. Kata to me was always a personal thing, and I competed in kata, and I didn't win, and it hurt my feelings. Because really, what I care about what my sensei thinks of my kata. I don't care what judges think of my kata. I do my kata for me. It's a personal thing. Sure. So each, people are different. Some people love the kata competition, and that's great. And as you know, we train some good kata competitors, a lot of them. And Sensei Cindy, did that. But I just wanted Kumite, and so I did. Started early on, and I was a green belt. I did only a few tournaments, and my first black belt tournament was a U.S. Open in Orlando. It wasn't Orlando, then it was St. Petersburg, Florida. But my first match was a guy, a kung fu guy, and I would chase him to the edge of the ring, and he would do a drop spinning sweep and stomp me. And he beat me bad. And then I get the Karate Illustrated magazine, and he's on the cover. And his name was James Cook. It says James Cook writes the cookbook on winning. I'm like, yeah, that's the guy I fought. So I did point.
It was awesome.
Fun days. And that was when everything was mixed, all the styles. And so I did several tournaments and worked up, and in the mid 80s to late 80s, I was rated a few times in Karate Illustrated, but then I switched over, started doing kickboxing, and probably about 82 or 83, I just wasn't fulfilled with the point fighting. I couldn't take it serious enough because it didn't really mean anything to me. If I won or I lost, that's no big deal. But in the ring, I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to be that guy that's laying on the ground unconscious. So I started kickboxing, and that was in the early days of kickboxing, obviously. And I did that for probably 5 years or so, and I won the Florida State light middleweight title, and then the Florida State middleweight title, and then I retired, I think, in 87. And I only lost one fight. That was a split decision. And I did Division 2 with Bill Wallace, one with Jerry the Sting Clark. I also fought a pro boxer who had a boxing title. And there was a lot of the boxers back in the day wanted to get into kickboxing because they thought it was a shorter road to the top from boxing. So a lot of them got into kickboxing and tried it, but they couldn't deal with the kicks. And so that was pretty much, she's going to talk more about the point karate career. But we train a lot of top people in NASCA, and my fights were with the ISKA. Started out with the PKA, and then went to the ISKA. Mm-hmm. And again, I retired in like 87, and we trained several really good fighters that won state titles. And it was small then. It was tough to get kickboxing fights because there wasn't that many people doing it. Yeah. Now with MMA, people get fights. They fight every month. I fought like 9 times. And it took me like 5 years to get 9 fights because it wasn't that popular. But I trained really hard at it. I really loved it. I loved that physical challenge. I never thought of it as trying to hurt someone. I never was that way. I just wanted that physical challenge. And to me, climbing in the ring and putting it on the line, I was a nervous wreck every time, but it's like I did it. And when I was done, it's like, wow, I accomplished my fear. I did this. But that would be like, I'm never doing it again, though. Then I would do it again and again and again. But that was, best times of my life. I was on the U.S. team. I did some overseas stuff. Okay, so now it's Sensei Cindy's turn.
I didn't kickbox. I did some continuous, but I didn't do that. So I did kata and kumite, and then when I got black belt, I added kabuto into it. Kata and kumite for the first few years, it was really rough. Is open competition, so Isshinryu, and then they were adding the musical kata in. So you would be doing your whatever kata I did. I would do my Kusanku or Sunsu or Chinto. Those are my 3.
This was all well before AAU.
Before, yeah. AAU was just getting going, but it wasn't anything that everybody was in the open,
was the place
at the time. But and that was getting big, so I'd get up and do my plain old quiet kata with 2 ki in it. And then they would be doing those. And I finally said, I'm not doing kata anymore because I can't compete against the back handsprings and the drop into a split, stand up. I'm not that kind of athlete anyway. So I just focused on Kumite for a long time. And I in '89, I was rookie of the year for NASCA. I traveled. We were raising children. We couldn't afford to go all over the country to every tournament, but we took probably 20 months of our lives and said, okay, we're going to go for it. And so we, used our charge card and went all over the place. And so I had a good stint on that. I competed in Kumite and Kata and Kabuto until I was about 42 years old. So however many years that is, from when I was 19. Okay, so 19 years. So a lot of years of it. I never really stopped doing Kumite because I loved it so much. And then I started doing kata again after I got where I wanted in Kumite, and they started a classical division, which we had to wear white gis, no flips, no music, no splits, no head kicks, traditional kata. You could make it up if you wanted, but you still had to stay within the realm. And I won that, and I was winning Kabuto. And in fighting, I was winning that. I was getting older there, and then these 16 and 17-year-old tall girls, all southpaws, started coming up. So I was having to fight for my life. Mm-hmm. So I finished on top, but I had to take more losses than I was used to. But I said it's time to quit because they're getting faster. I'm getting slower and fatter, so I need to stop doing this. But it was I loved competition. So I'm going to tell you that competition is what kept me in karate in the beginning.
Sure.
Then meeting Sensei, which I know that's coming, Sensei Mitchum. That's when he rocked our world with kata.
But she was rookie of the year in NASCA in 1980. Yeah, but she was really, really good. And and the Triple Crown, Battle of Atlanta, U.S. Open, and Diamond Nationals. I won the Diamond Nationals and U.S. Open, and I took silver. There was no silver. I took second place in. And fought Arlene Lemus. I mean, those are the only people that beat her. Arlene Lemus beat her. Linda Denley beat me. But I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if you know the name Linda Denley. You have to Google her at one point. She was my hero from day one. I watched that woman fight. She's from Texas. She was awesome, like incredible. And then I won all my fights, and she was the number 1 seed. So it came down to me fighting the number 1 seed. I stood across that line. I was starstruck. Mm-hmm. I just looked at her like, I cannot believe I am now here, standing across from her. And I was confident at first, but then when I saw her, I like, wow. I just couldn't even fathom what was getting ready to happen. So we started fighting, and John's coaching me, and my reverse punch was one of my strong points. So I blitzed her like he told me to do. She side kicked me, which was her signature move, and I wasn't breathing during the whole when they were calling points. So then John says, "Do it again." I said, "I'm never doing that again." I didn't really verbally say it to him, but I was thinking.
Yeah.
But your first time fighting your hero, you're not, I don't know. I just wasn't going to beat my hero. I just had so much respect that I couldn't even feel worthy of being across from her. But
we had probably 6 or 7 students went with us during the 2-year period.
This was a little,
and they did fantastic. I mean, we had our group did really good.
Yeah.
But no one, like Terry Creamer gave her Rookie of the Year award, right? Was it Terry?
Yeah. Well, yeah. He and I won the U.S. Open the same year. We were on the stage of champions together, me and Terry.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was cool. So
it was good times.
Yeah.
Totally different though. Everything's changed.
But good memories for us. Great memories. It was the kickboxing memories and point.
And it's all good stuff because we can help relate fear and nerves to our students.
Yeah, our students, what I want them to realize, we've been doing this decades, so we've seen the trends. Yeah. Like in the beginning, the beginning of karate was more traditional. Then it got the open where you can jump in the air and back fist. You can jump back kicks, jump spinning hook kicks,
cartwheel kicks.
So it kind of went, and then when we went to AAU because it was more traditional. Now it's getting kind of in the middle where you can lift your leg up and throw 3 or 4 kicks. And it's like we've been there. We've seen the trends.
That's cool.
And we can go back and say, now we know how to do that because we did that.
That's what I used to do.
We can't do it like anymore, but we know how to teach people.
That's exactly right.
And the people now, they look at this guy, oh, he's so awesome. I want to learn from him because he's winning now. It's like, this guy's 30 years old. Yeah, I'm 70, but I've been there for all these years. We have the knowledge to train people, and you don't have to be able to do it anymore. But we can pull from a toolbox. We got a real deep toolbox. When Karate Kid came out, we were doing like pepper kicks down the aisles for the demonstrations. We did demonstrations for Karate Kid. And, hey, you couldn't do that. But okay, now they're picking that front leg up and they're using that lead leg.
Again.
Like we used to do back in the day in AAU. So we know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of, the evolution is cool, and it's nice for us to be able to go back and pull from that toolbox from years and years ago.
Yeah, I think it all comes, in full circle, as they say. Yeah. And, just listening to you guys reminisce on your amazing careers. I remember myself as being obviously a lifelong student, as in we all are. Mm-hmm. I take, it's easy for us to take for granted and think like, oh, well, I mean, because Master Rigby would say like, hey, listen, like it was different back in the day, but it's, it's still the same, and hearing the same from you, it's nice. It's always reassuring to know that, and I always had full faith in my instructors, and I still do. And, but it's nice to know that what Master Rigby said is very similar to what you were saying
I'm
too.
Sure.
Yeah, they had the same era as us. They went through the same thing.
So it's like, so maybe my instructors did know something,
Yeah. They're old now, but we weren't always old.
No, we weren't always old.
So you talked about the AAU, and that's something else that comes in conversation. And I think Sensei Sherry was the one that mentioned, and you guys also shared your insight when you guys first decided to join, and kind of like those early developmental years where you didn't see success early on, where, it's easy to, look at someone successful or any organization, be, oh, well, obviously they're good, but it's obviously like, everyone starts somewhere. So now that you guys made that jump to AAU because you wanted something more traditional, talk about the early years and what was what was that like? Because, for your students that are watching, or for people that know you guys, they might not understand, the full capacity of like what you had to go through to put Isshinryu on the stage that it is now. Because in 2010, I remember you were saying like, I think it was you, Sensei Cindy, you said, look, Nick, have patience. This is going to grow. Isshinryu will one day have its mark. And I know my time at AAU was a little bit short, but I still kept up with you guys. And you see where you guys are at now, like, Jacob Little and like those guys, it's just been incredible to watch that development. And when I see your students, I initially see you guys and all the hard work that it took to get Isshinryu where it is. So let's, if you don't mind, share kind of the origins of Ingram's indoctrination into the AAU.
Do you want to do that, or do you want me to?
You can.
Okay, I'll start, and then
I can fill in blanks.
That's a good story, because like I said, we actually promoted, we had a circuit called Fame in Florida, and we were promoters. We had a big Fame tournament, and that's when I felt open just was deteriorating. And I didn't feel good about teaching people what they had to do to win an open tournament, because you had to know the tricks and how to play the game. And I felt like they were not learning how to defend themselves in the street. So my friend Mark Penner and David Roth, had gone to AAU before us.
Yep.
And they were telling me about the AAU. And so what we started doing, they started having an AAU division at our Fame tournament. So at our open tournament, we had an AAU division. And I really liked it. So I took my team, and the following year we said, let's go to nationals. And let's try an A. Actually, I think maybe it was junior. I can't remember which one was the first tournament, but our first AAU tournament said, let's go try it. And these were people that were kicking butt in the open circuit. And so what happened was we got our butts handed to us because we did not understand. Are we froze up?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. Our phone looks doing some weird thing. Okay. So, they got beat. So I looked at them, and because I've always seeked out the toughest competition for my competitors. I think that's so important. I never wanted to be a big fish in a little pond. I wanted them to go against the best, and that's how you get good. And so I looked at them. I said, okay, we can go back to what we were doing where you guys were winning, or we can take on this challenge. I said, I think this is better. I love the way these guys fight. They're solid. They're hitting hard. And what do you guys want to do? And they all looked at me and said, Sensei, we want to do this. We want to learn how to do this. And it was a learning curve because it's was way different then. I mean, you could not, they wouldn't even call it sidekick. So all of our best techniques, we couldn't do it. The reverse punch was about the only thing that we could do. But it was all power kicks, front kicks and back leg round kicks. It was even hard to get a lead leg round kick called. You couldn't really do a back fist. You had to do more of a jab. And there was no jumping. So it was a learning curve. But we took on the challenge, and we would sit. We would go to the tournaments and watch the other teams like the Hawaiians. We'd watch how they were warming up. Like I said earlier, we learned a lot from watching other people in competition. So we watched the top guys, and we eventually became some of the top guys. But it took a long time because we don't quit. We don't give up. If it's something we want to do and it's hard, that's what I like. That's what makes it fun and worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. So what year you started seeing that success? Was it like at what point did you start to see okay, we're there now? We're
only
getting there.
Only probably a couple of years, probably really paying our dues. Yeah. And then there was times when we started having a lot of our people in the finals. Mm-hmm. We would have as many people in the finals as the Hawaiians back in the day. Mm-hmm. I mean, we did really, really good. And
it took way longer for kata, though.
Yeah, way longer for kata. Like you had said, that was our real battle, getting our Isshinryu kata recognized. In the beginning, I'm like, we're going to do AAU, but I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to get involved in the politics. I'm just going to bring my students. And then I saw that if I wanted our students to have a fair shake, I had to get involved in it. And I had to start judging, and I had to try to educate these judges. And then what happened, I started judging. I became an A referee, so the highest level referee. Kind of got to know Joe Mirza. Our fighters were very good. So I got to do, as you know, because you were on our team, got to coach the U.S. team. And then Joe Mirza had me do, I think, 3 or 4 seminars for the AAU judges at nationals. So I did Isshinryu seminars for our judges, taught them Sun Tzu one time, taught them our Kusanku one time. And so I started educating them. And, it was a long process, but we got there. And now we've got referees in there that are Isshinryu, and now we're accepted. But it was a challenge.
A lot of years.
If I remember right, we competed doing Goju, right?
Yeah.
And we taught you the Goju kata because you could not do Isshinryu kata overseas.
Yeah.
And we felt bad because you're a good kata man. And it's like, and Ivar, he's a good kata man. It was like, so we go over there and would have to sit during kata, and our people would have to watch because Isshinryu wasn't allowed. It wasn't that you got bad marks. It was because they don't even want to let you
style specific only.
Yeah, only style specific. So that's changed. We have now they have other style or Isshinryu. So there's something for us to go.
If we have enough competitors, we have our own style overseas.
Right.
But if not, they go into the other style category, which is style that did not have the mandatory number of competitors.
Yeah, not all style. There's all style and other style. Yeah, other is for ones that don't have a mandatory division. So guys like Weichi-Ryu, a lot of those styles that don't. But then all style just means you can all go in it. And
in AAU now we have our mandatory kata division every year at nationals. So we know we're going to get to showcase Isshinryu on the big stage at night. So that was my lifelong goal, is to get our mandatory kata division in the AAU.
Yep.
and you would have,
You would have loved that.
I think that was after you, right?
There's still time to start. You're still a young man.
I've aged out. I'm not 34 though, so
No, not for mandatory. You could do it. You'd kick butt. You'd be really good.
You are very good.
I know.
But anyway,
we
appreciate that. Thank
we've
you.
got it now. But it did take a long time.
We had to suck up our pride because we're like, God, but it was worth it. It was worth it. Even to this day, I still see the AU. I know there's NKF and all that, and that's all great for top elite fighters that are going to travel all over the world. That's fine. But especially as a dojo, to take all of your students to that you feel good about, AAU to me is the absolute best.
They're Isshinryu friendly.
They're Isshinryu friendly.
And very good Kobudo friendly.
Yeah.
Very good Kobudo.
Well, we're enjoying that too. So yeah. I really like it.
Is Isshinryu overall perceived a lot better now?
Yes.
So you talk about how Isshinryu has its own mandatory division, which I think is amazing. But would you say the overall consensus now, everyone knows like, yo, Isshinryu is like good?
Absolutely.
Yep.
We've gotten respect.
We don't get the funny looks anymore.
Yeah, we've gotten the respect, and they know now why we do things the way we do it. If it's a little different than them, they understand why and they respect it.
Very cool.
That's absolutely. We're in a good place.
Yeah.
We're in a good place.
I remember when I was training and I would come down and train with you guys and the team.
Mm-hmm.
I remember certain team members would say, yeah, Isshinryu is still kind of looked down upon. And then when I went to Italy and I would see these kids that were amazing from different stylists, and then I would say to myself, guys, we're not that, we're there with these guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just need someone higher to be like, yo, Isshinryu is finally, accepted. So it's nice from the outside looking in, knowing that, seeing all the hard work that you guys put in. It's awesome to see, like I said, like your students having amazing success. And I mean, Isshinryu is a beautiful style, and I don't understand the flack that we get.
Yeah.
No, and we don't anymore now. In AAU, we don't. Those days are gone now.
That's what I was talking about back then. I just
back then it was just ignorance. It's ignorance.
Yeah.
Because people they have tunnel vision. If it's not the way they do it, and as we both know, it was almost all Japanese karate back then.
Yeah.
Was if you weren't Shotokan, you didn't have a chance.
Yeah, that's so true.
And something else I want to say, we also improved our kata.
Yeah.
Because the challenge of wanting Isshinryu kata to be accepted was a personal challenge to make our students be better than they already were. We're like, what, our students could be better.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to put it all off on the judges because, we're not putting it all off.
It made them better.
And I'll tell you something else that helped us. This is my opinion, okay? So, you get scored, right? Like when you go to tournaments, 3.5, 5.6, you get all the scores, right?
Yeah.
When you do flag kata, and there were two people side by side doing a kata, as a judge, referee, you don't have to remember all the katas you looked at and try to place these people.
That is very true. Yep.
It is only right now, all that matters is who is the best one of these two people standing here. Then what happens? You're watching, and especially you Isshinryu people, us Isshinryu have more power. When you see an Isshinryu guy cracking those punches, snapping that gi, there'd be a guy doing a kata, and then there'd be an Isshinryu guy over here, bam, blah, 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 blah. And then this guy might have had a pretty kata, but it was weak. The judges are like, Isshinryu. We got noticed when
that helped a lot.
Yeah, but when you
it's harder to be biased. It's hard to be biased when you're looking at two people.
Yeah.
You go the other way when this guy was obviously way stronger. When you're doing the numbers, it's a little easier.
You can slip in the numbers.
It's a little easier to be biased.
It is. It is. You get away with it more. But the judges are going to be embarrassed if they're the only one that went for the other guy and all four of the other judges went with that. You're going to be like, well, they're going to think I cheated.
Yeah.
But sometimes it happens because that's your opinion and that's fine. But anyway, that was also helpful, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I've never really been a fan of the scores. I've always loved the flag systems.
Yeah.
And I think, if you want to consider yourself a kata champion, you should be able to, you should be prepared to do kata multiple time, which is why like I love the rounds. And I know Master Rigby and Master John Devine, because Master Devine was doing AAU for a while, and he had amazing students that were
great. Yeah.
there as well. And I remember at one of our friendship tournaments here in Delaware, it was Divine School, Master Rigby's, and some of the other Rochester schools up in New York. And like we integrated the flag systems, and I was like, yeah, this is dope. I love this. And I remember some kid, like some athletes, that they were like winded after the first round. They're like, I gotta do this again. I'm like, yep. And I'm thinking, yep. I know I won't see you in the finals.
Exactly. You got to train. Yeah.
And that was one thing that you pushed, Coach John, was I remember doing the calisthenics. I think it was at someone's home. I think it was your barn. And you said something pretty profound. You said, Nick, you don't need to have a gi to do good kata. And that was something new to me, because I was always used to wearing a gi, like, hearing that pop. And then I think you looked at me, you were just like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know, like this just feels weird doing it like in short. And you just said, Nick, just
do your kata.
Yep.
Yeah. Make your t-shirt pop.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So do you guys remember it was the airport. I was a little kid. Well, not a little kid. I think I was like maybe 10 or 11. Do you remember when I came up to you guys in the airport?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. So I had never met you guys before, and I don't remember what airport it was, but you guys were sitting down. I think you guys were reading a book, and I said, Mom, that's John and Cindy Ingram. And mind you, she didn't know who you guys were at the time. I didn't really know who you guys were either. It's just just a little backstory for those watching this. I was the kid that would email senseis on my mom's computer, and I remember corresponding with you guys. And I asked Master Rigby if he knew who you guys were, and at the time he was familiar with the name but didn't know you personally. So I always remembered faces. So I said, Mom, I know those two adults. She said, how do you know those? I'm like, pretty sure they do karate. That's John. That's Cindy.
Wow.
Thing is, my notebook. So things I know who they are. They're like, Mom,
this is your notebook. That's right.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
Wow. Yes, I remember that. That's cool. That's pretty cool.
And then flash forward all those years later, here I am, like, at your house training with you guys. So like, it's cool how it comes full circle,
Yeah, we had some good times.
It is.
Yeah.
If I had that written down, so things I didn't want to forget that. So
say that. I'm glad you did, because that's really cool.
Yep. So now I want to talk about where you guys are at today with the AAU and just how your students have developed so well, making that, transition. So I want to give a hats off to, like I said, Jacob Little, both Sensei Sherry and Sensei Jen. I've talked to other Keandra Vale, had her on my podcast as well.
Yeah. That was a good one. We listened to it yesterday.
Yeah, and it's just, it's interesting how you were talking about early on in this conversation, Sensei Cindy, how, these kids now, they have social media, as in we all do. So we all have the same opportunities, but you're right. It's easy to look at a highlight reel and think, oh, this athlete hasn't made because they have this coach, where I've always been loyal to my instructors. But something that I learned probably when I was doing AAU is you can be good, but sometimes you can't be a big fish in a small pond. If you want to get good or great at something, you have to expand. So I got permission from Master Rigby, and that meant the world, because knowing that, your instructor backs you up, that gives you more opportunities to grow. And that's how I met you guys, or more connected. But I think now these kids, I understand why these kids have the mindset of, I got to be training with this person or that person. But every student that I've talked to that, trains with you guys, it's nothing but love for you guys. So it's amazing, what you guys have produced. So, currently now, where are your students as far as competition? How far have your students gone in the past 10 years, you would say, with competition?
That's a hard one. That is a hard one. I mean, we've had students get world championships and Kabuto, Kata, Kumite, all of the different, so we feel that we're well-rounded now. And we're actually even having like my grandson and his best friend, who are two of our top guys in our dojo, Lane and Raphael. They're now taking the kickboxing. They're getting into kickboxing, and they're getting ready to embark on their first fight. They've been doing some other stuff, and so we're seeing them grow because they're young men now. They're 18 and 19 years old, and we want to do more stuff now. But
and it's different generations. It's like every 10 years or so, you got a whole different group.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we're the same place we were, really. I mean, we've got where we want to be. We're actually taking more of a back seat now. Sherry, and we're kind of passing the torch. I mean, we're like, I'm turning 70, and it's time to let the younger group come in. And I'm just taking the back seat, and Sherry's doing great. I mean, she's an international referee. We've got another, Chris Rosick's one of my students. He's an international referee.
Yep.
So, we've got people out there, and we just had kids go to the North American Championships in Las Vegas, brought home a pile of medals. We had like 5 kids go. So we go to Worlds. We have, 5 or 6 go to Worlds. And
and then we're even letting like Lane and Raphael, they're doing more of the team because they're young and can do everything really good, and so they're better at demonstrating.
We're trying to step back,
trying to let them take the reins, and we're still there.
We're guiding. We're guiding. We're guiding, but letting them do it. It's almost better for us not to be there.
So we're not going
to keep our mouths shut.
Not only that, just think about yourself. If Master Rigby says go teach this class, and then he's standing there watching, you're hoping that so I hope I say the right thing, or I hope the confidence level drops a little in your teaching ability.
You got to be cut loose.
When Sensei Mitsu would stand there and tell me to critique someone, I'd be like, I wish he would go in the other room first. I'll feel more open. But so we have to be careful.
You say that. So like something I learned, with Jiu-Jitsu and even karate, and my instructor Howard Steele, he's very big on this. Your assistants will only grow as much or as little if the head instructor's in the room. But when the head instructor is no longer there, it kind of gives the assistant more reign, and they feel like they can teach at, let's say, 100% than compared to 80% when the head instructor is there.
Absolutely.
That's exactly right. So you've got to step back and let them have it. But we still do it, but not as much as we were. We're definitely learning to step back a little.
We do a lot of private lessons. Yeah. And where we've excelled, back to what you said before, just with the AU, where we've excelled, we're really excelling in the Kobudo. As we're getting older, we've taken on a new challenge, and it's Ruka Kobudo Teshinkan. And it's the Taira Shinken lineage Kobudo. From Taira Shinken, Akamine Esuke was his successor. And we're training under Hidemi Tamiose Sensei.
Yeah.
And so really direct lineage. So it's all the classical kata.
I saw him at the Rango-Kai in 2001.
Yeah. He's amazing. We just got back from Okinawa.
Yeah, we just got back 3 weeks. And
with him.
He's amazing. And to me, Kobudo, as you get older, is a great thing because it's easier on the body. You have the memory. You have to remember. I think I have like 22 of their kata, and I've got like 10 more to go. It's like a lifelong. It's a lifelong endeavor, and it's very, very. What's the word? Precise.
Yeah.
Everything. It's not like a head strike. It's got to be right there. You'll come over and move your bow like 1 inch.
Okay.
But it's we're really enjoying it. The barn you talked about, every day I'm out there under that barn, do my sit-ups, my push-ups, my Isshinryu kata, and Kobudo. Then the next day I do sit-ups, push-ups, my Goju kata, and Kobudo. And that keeps us in shape. That's a lifelong thing.
And learning new. What happens to people when they get older? They think, okay, I know everything, and maybe not in an arrogant way, but you just think there's nothing else. Sure. But no, we're still learning new kata, and it's and it's keeping our minds sharp. I think it battles dementia and Alzheimer's. I think it's just good for you to keep learning. And maybe we're not going to get as good as we would have in our 20s or 30s, but then we have more things to teach our students because,
So overseas, these kata are great, great competition kata. Where Isshinryu has great kobudo, same lineage, but it's not a real kobudo system. It's just kata that Tatsu Shimbuku learned, right? They're just kata that were put into our system, but you're not learning a system. We're learning the kihon, all the basics, and we're learning a real system. Mm-hmm. And so our students have really excelled in kobudo.
Yeah.
With these kata.
Yeah.
Yeah, kobudo is amazing. I love the bow, the sai, the tonfa.
It's fun. And we have the turtle shell, the spear, the tenbei roshin. It's a turtle shell and the spear.
Yeah, yeah.
Nunchaku kata.
I don't like nunchaku.
And the teko, the stirrups. They were the horse stirrups. A lot of all the classical kata. It's fun. We're just having a good time with it.
Yeah, we are.
That's cool. We can't not mention Master Mitchum as well. So I want to if you don't mind, just talk to us briefly about how he comes into your life and the impact that he's had.
Okay, I'll let you.
All right, so when our instructor retired, he met Master Mitchum because our instructor, I don't know what he was, what rank he was.
He retired at fourth dan.
Fourth dan, he retired. But anyway, he wanted to our dojo to have like somebody that could promote you and stuff like that. Yep.
Yeah.
You guys gave this to me.
Yeah, good. Yeah, because that's the best DVD I've ever seen on a doing Isshinryu kata. It was he did a great job. But yeah, he came, we started going. John started going there to. Actually, this is pretty cool. Sensei took John, our sensei Jim Cantor took John and Oscar to Sensei Mitchum to meet him, and he didn't even know him, but he saw he was, anyway, figured it out.
He was Georgia, and we, like I said, we were AOKA,
right,
which was a long ways away. All those guys were up north, and Sensei Mitchum was just in Georgia.
Right. So he took them there to see if they could test for Nidan
my sensei at that time was a Nidan.
Yeah.
Cantor was Nidan.
So Sensei had John and Oscar perform all their kata for him. Then when it was all over, he didn't promote them. He promoted our sensei to fourth dan. Mm-hmm. He said, I'm judging you on your students. Okay.
That way he could promote us.
So then 3 years later, our sensei really got out of it, like to the point where John contacted, saw he was doing a seminar. And John said, I want to come to that seminar. So John went to the seminar. And that was the first time John ever saw Harold Mitchum do anything besides sit and watch his kata. And so John calls me up. I didn't go because I was ready to give birth to my second child. I could not get on a plane and fly to Atlanta, or wherever he went. So he calls me up. He says, oh my God, this guy's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. And so from there on, he had Sensei come. And one day, this is what I think is really cool. So he showed us all the things we did wrong on our kata. We thought he was showing us all of them. No, he showed us what he thought we could handle. We would fix it. We'd go back to our dojo, change all our students. Then he'd show us more. And then we would fix it and go back. And this kept happening. We're like, why didn't you just tell us everything at one time? We thought, watch it. We're going to show him good kata now. But John asked him the question, why didn't you tell me all those things or some of those things when I first came and did kata for you? Sensei said, you didn't come to learn. You came to get promoted. And he said, and you were worthy of the promotion, but you didn't come to learn. And that was so profound because you're right. They came to get promoted. Yeah. And now you're here to learn. And so that was just like a turning point. And then years after, he said, he always called him his best student and me his best female student. And, but he said that he had never taught anyone before that was willing to go back to their dojo and say we were doing it wrong. He said, I've never had anyone do that. Most people wouldn't do that. And was like, well, that's part of, we were young. We were probably too young. He improved our kata tremendously. Just because
he was so good at kata, and he helped us with our posture. The thing, so many Isshinryu people were, leaning, and there's just the basic stuff was not good.
Yeah.
But he taught us the posture and the stance and the
Bunkai.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the Bunkai. He's a big Bunkai guy, and
The DVD.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and he was just amazing. So no, I can't say enough about him. And in his day, he was a good Kumite player too.
Sure.
But that's not what he carried as his. He has a recording that is priceless, and I wish I could get a hold of it. Of him and Steve Armstrong talking, because they were buddies.
Yeah.
And Steve Armstrong was in a nursing home at this point, and Sensei always called to check on him and talk to him, even went there to see him. And he was a good friend, to people. And so Steve Armstrong said, "Harold," I cried when I heard this. "All I ever wanted my whole life was to do kata as good as you." And it was just so sweet. These are the pioneers talking to each other, And one time, I'm not going to say who it was about, but Harold Long called my house. I'm like, because Sensei Mitchum was here. And so Master Long called to talk to Sensei Mitchum. I'm like, whoa, well, we had a wall phone at the time. And they're on the phone, and Harold Long says, Harold, that's how they talk, they have their Southern accent.
Yeah.
"I think we should go over there together and kick his ass." It was the funniest thing, because they were old guys, and you're like, they were mad at somebody for something, and but it was the cutest. It was just, I don't know. I felt like it should be on history somewhere that happened. But
Sensei Mitchum became like a father to us. I mean, we were very close, and I became obviously his senior student. And until he died, and then we took over the UIKA for him.
Yep.
And he was wonderful. Yeah, because we added Europe. Lars Anderson now is part of it, so we made it the WIKA. But he was
wonderful. Of your guys' association.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. But no, he was just a wonderful person. He was fantastic. Can't say enough great things about him.
You got to sleep in the Harold Mitchum bedroom.
That's right. That's right.
It. That's where he slept.
I remember when I came in there and you were like, "This is where Master Mitchum sleeps." I was like, "Oh man, no pressure."
I washed the sheets, but you might still got some of his DNA on you. I don't know.
But people,
if I remember, I'm in your house. I walk upstairs, and it's the bedroom to the left.
Yes,
that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Harold Mitchum room. I said we should put tags on it.
But he never really. Sensei Mitchum taught us traditional karate in our tournament. Not tournament. Nothing to do with our kumite. And some people think, well, that Sensei Mitchum taught us how to fight, but he didn't. Our first instructor, Jim Cantor, gave us a good foundation, and we really learned how to fight by going to tournaments and by training with other people.
Training and getting our butt kicked.
So the best thing for us for those few years when Sensei Cantor retired until Sensei Mitchum came, because we were out there competing and training with everyone we could train with, then we were allowed to be able to really grow. Our kumite got good, really good, because we were training with the best people out there. There was no nothing put on us, no restrictions put on us. And then we got with Sensei Mitchum. It was really about kata and traditional karate. That's what he taught us.
Yeah, and he didn't teach us anything about tournament kata.
No.
He wasn't. He didn't believe in that. Really, you know.
But he was a friend of the AAU.
But he liked the AAU
a lot.
Yeah,
he did love the AAU.
And they had him as
an advisor.
An advisor for kata for the Isshinryu. You know, they had him listed as that, and
technical advisor.
Technical advisor. Yes, yeah, he was that. So. And he would come every now and then, and he said, well, if I was going to do tournaments, this is what...
He said, if you're going to compete, you need to do the AAUs.
He always said the AAUs. But,
and he was a wonderful guy. Yeah. We miss him tremendously.
We do.
His grandson is now training with us, Chris Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Very cool.
So he comes up, and he just got his brown belt. And so he's a great guy, and he'll carry on the Mitchell legacy.
He's a jiu-jitsu guy as well. He's doing that. He's getting ready to be promoted to colonel in the Army. he wanted to retire, but they begged him to stay and they promoted him. So, but anyway, he's coming and training now to carry on his grandfather's legacy. He wants to get an Isshinryu black belt. He said, I got to do that. My grandfather was Harold Mitchum. So
yeah,
no,
super guy though.
A good jiu-jitsu player as well.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
good.
Very cool. Man, like it's been so cool just to hear both your guys' story. And even though I'm hearing this, unfortunately, like I say this to all the viewers, and the reasons why I say unfortunately is I only can get a small glimpse of your story within the time that we have because but it's been amazing, and I've learned a lot more about your early upbringings and how you guys met, of course. So hearing more about that was pretty awesome. And just as you're telling your story, it's very transcending with the times. I feel because as business owners, and someone that's been a full-time martial arts instructor for the last 6 years, I see what it takes to run a business, the ups and downs, but more that for you guys, you've seen the different eras, if you will, right? The different decades, COVID, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
And I know that as business owners and as instructors, we wear different hats. But one of the things that I used to struggle with early on, and if I can be vulnerable, is that we see a lot of people come and go in this job, and like you were talking about yourself, Sensei John, how like every 10 years you get like a new batch of students. I would love to hear like how have you two been able to, I guess, cope with that, because you make a connection. And I talked to Sensei Sherry about this. It's like the seasons of life. Some people are in for just a little bit, and then some people are there for a while. But then you invest so much time in students, and then I get it. People move on, they grow up, they get married, they have families, and then some people just quit and you never see them again. So, like, what advice would you give for someone that's running a business, especially in martial arts? Like, how have you two been able to kind of deal with that and move forward?
Well, if they're with us for any length of time, we've impacted their life, hopefully, in a positive way. So it's going to carry on with them forever. But when I talk about the different eras, I was talking more about competition, really, our competitor. Sure. But we've got students. I mean, my seat, Brian Ash is my senior student. He's been with me for over 40 years. And he's still my student. Sherry, Jen, Joe Trinkas, Greg Crino, Tommy Reed. These people have been with me for 45 years, and they're still training with us. So I've got a real good group of people that are my senior students that are, they're Joe Trinkas started with me when he was 6. Next week, he turns 50. And he's one of my senior guys. So we've got that group that's been with me forever that's just like family. And then you've got the people, like you said, they'll come and go, but we get letters back from them for things that they think back and an impact we had on their life, and that's what means the world to us, as we're impacting people's lives. And some people don't realize we are giving them our life, and this is not a job. This is we're giving people our heart and our soul, and they can also hurt you as people that are doing this, the Rigby's, anyone that's been doing this their whole life. There's a lot of scars there, and people need to think sometimes that we're doing the best job we can, and then you get someone that's not happy and they complain, and we lose sleep over it. It hurts our feelings. It hits you in the heart. So it's like, gosh, you're giving them everything you got, and so it's a very hard thing to do for a living, because it's not just working at Walmart where I can go home every night and not worry about it. We stay up at night, and we love our students, and we want to give our students everything we have, and that's why it's tiring. As you know, because now you're getting there. You're that next generation, but the Rigby's and people like that, there's a point where I got to step back.
Yeah.
But it's rewarding the ones that stay with you, and you've done something for them, and they're still your friends, and they're like, Sensei, you're like my father. You've done so much for me. It's like, oh my God, it just makes you feel so good inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's rewarding.
It is. And I've learned, I used to get upset because we do junior black belts and you're not really a black belt till you're 16.
Sure.
And sometimes, the little kids, they've been with you 5 years. Now they want to go play soccer and they want to do this and they're going to quit karate and they got their junior black belt. Well, there was a day I would almost chastise that. I'd be like, you got your junior black belt and now you're going to quit? Yeah. And almost, then I woke up one day and said, that's not the reaction you should have given that child. It should be more like, well, you know what? Enjoy soccer. I'm so proud of you for accomplishing that goal of junior black belt, because that was a good goal in itself. So that attitude change helped me deal with losing. Sometimes be this really good kid, you're like, oh my God, he's so talented. I can already see this. But it's got to be from their heart too, not just from you. Yeah. And like he said, we taught them, they learned some self-defense, they learned to accomplish goals, they did all that. And so I'm grateful for that now. And it doesn't hurt as bad. Okay.
Yeah. So you were just concluding how like the different seasons and like, the expectation of sometimes people leave and you kind of get, and I get it because we care. And I think you said so your best. You like, and like, I love the way you both described it is you put your heart and soul into it. And that's a good reminder of what we do as instructors and as coaches. And our students, like, I don't think they understand the full remedy of that, but I don't think there's, not they're not supposed to, but I don't expect them to,
Right. Right. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Guys, I want to thank you so much for, coming on today's show. It's been an awesome time having you both. I feel like I could talk,
we could go on for hours.
But yeah, you guys covered a lot, and we talked about, like I was saying earlier, like your early upbringings, how you guys met, and what martial arts meant to you both as you guys decided to, jump ship, if you will, and become, business owners. And you talk about, the lawn service and how you had to make a choice early on, which huge respect. And like I said earlier, it's got to be, it's so nice knowing that you both did it together. And something else I want to touch on, like, I think our legacy is defined by the impact that we have on people. And I can tell you both, just in the short amount of time that I've gotten to interact with you, I know we've known each other for almost past a decade now.
Yeah.
But, the times that we've spent, whether it's in person or in conversation or even in this conversation now, you both have been like a huge impact, on my life. I talk about you guys often when I'm, coaching my students or, sharing tips that I've heard. And I'm always huge on gratitude. So I just again, thank you both for everything that you've done for me. And it's, I think the world of you both, and I can't thank you guys enough for everything that you just helped instill in me.
We're proud of you.
Yeah, very proud
of the man you've grown into. You're a wonderful man, and we're very proud of what you've done.
Thank you so much.
From that little boy in the airport.
Yeah. I was hoping you guys would remember that. But
I remember it.
I remember that, pretty fondly. So something that I always let my guests share is, so it's two things. One, where can people find more information on you guys, whether it's via social media, on the Ingram's Karate website? Like, where would be a good pathway if, the viewers want to get more information on, training, at one of your schools, or maybe getting in touch with either one of you or both of you?
So our Facebook, we have Ingram's Okinawan Karate Facebook page. And then our email is ingramsokinawankarate@verizon.net. And then we have ingramsokinawankarate.com for our website. And then Ingram's Karate is Sherry's to Dojo. So even if they go to Ingram's Karate, they can always find us through any of that. So,
but our personal is Ingram's Okinawan Karate at Verizon.net.
That's our personal email. And then Facebook, Ingram's Okinawan Karate. So
Facebook is good it's got some bad out there, but it's a lot of good too. And we enjoy being able to connect through Facebook for our page with people.
Right.
Absolutely. And then the last thing is, if you give any last minute shout outs to anyone right now, and I know the list is probably long, but if you had to condense it to like maybe a few people, who would you like to give a thanks to?
Well, Master Mitchum, who's gone, he's our mentor. It's fantastic.
And
And Master Jim Cantor. Jim Cantor got us started our first
gave
sensei.
us the love.
And Sensei Steve May, one of my first senseis. Mm-hmm. But really, I like to thank our longtime students, Sherry and Jen and Joe and Brian and Craig and Tommy and they're sticking with us through all these years, through thick and thin. They're always here supporting us, always behind us.
And my girl black belts that are my best friends, Lisa and Gina, they keep me motivated because we all have our little woman thing. But yeah, it's fun. So
it's our longtime students, the support that they give us. They're always there because we get tired. And they're always there with support and helping us and stepping in when we are tired. They're right there helping us.
Yeah, and our grandkids. Yep, and Raphael and Leo. We have so many people that we couldn't live without.
Yeah, it's tough. Like you said, there's a long list.
But if I forgot anyone, I'm sorry.
All good, guys. Again, thank you so much for spending time with me today on the Kumite Lifestyle Podcast. Again, one of my goals is to basically almost record history. I want people to be able to look back one day and watch this conversation and say, "Man, like I got a good glimpse of who John and Cindy were." So
yeah, that's good. I appreciate it. That's I felt the same way when you asked about doing this, and that's kind of cool because our students, a lot of our students don't even know our story.
Yep. Yeah. So hopefully, for those watching and your students especially, they get a little bit more of a glimpse into your story and how amazing both of you are, and just and it's just for anyone out there that owns a business, or if they're in it together, you guys are living proof that, and Coach Cindy, I love how you said, you got to be a best friend first. If you have someone that you trust, someone you love, you can really go far in this journey of life. And you guys are a testament to that. So
thanks.
Thank you.
Absolutely, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I will, I'll talk to you guys soon.
Sounds good. Okay. We'll see you at the Hall of Fame.
Yes. Yeah.